A few years ago, I lost my daughter. I never thought in a million years growing up that I could actually lose a human being. It's a little funny now, but at the moment it was horrifying. It was 4th of July, and my family and a friend decided to go to the beach. The beach was insanely packed. Hundreds of people at this thing. My husband went to park the car. He couldn't find a parking spot. It took him freaking forever. So he dropped me and our friend and our 2 children at the beach and said he would meet up with us. We go onto the beach. We're trying to find a spot. Our friend says he's going to go to the water line and take the girls while I set up a spot on the beach. At least I thought that's what he said. But apparently he said he was going to go to the water line, not that he was going to take the girls. Long story short, he thought I had my youngest daughter. I thought he had it. And here my little 3-year-old girl was gone. I remember looking over to him and thinking, where's Emerson? I went over to him, said, hey, where's Emmy? He said, I thought you had her. This happened for 10 seconds back and forth, and then complete panic set in. I immediately started running up and down the beach. There's so many people there, and I could not see this little person anywhere. My husband's still not back, and after a few minutes, I start going up to strangers and frantically saying, have you seen a little blonde child about this high? Everyone said no. After a few minutes of running up and down the beach, asking strangers, my voice starts getting elevated because I'm thinking somebody abducted my child. Somebody took her. Or she drowned. So I start yelling at people at this point. Has anybody seen a 3-year-old little blonde girl? Has anybody seen a 3-year-old little blonde girl? Please look around you. Please look around you. So it was wild because even though the beach was full of people, I saw humanity step in. I saw a bunch of people just clear out. And it was like there was no one on the beach. Everybody kind of made a huge circle and started looking around them and kind of separating themselves from the crazy screaming woman. No one could find her. Then I started looking in the water because I was thinking maybe she's in there. So I started running up and down the shore, looking in the shallow water, and I just knew she was gone. And then there was this woman. She was sitting on a lawn chair. One of those lawn chairs that had sunk into the water because she had been sitting there for so long. She had an umbrella, and I remember she had a beer can, and she had her feet in it, and she was just enjoying the waves. And it was weird because, as I'd mentioned, everybody at this point had cleared the shore and were either helping me look or staying out of the way so I could find her. Except for this one woman. This one woman hadn't budged. So I ran up to her and I said, excuse me, ma'am, I've lost my daughter. Have you seen a 3-year-old little blonde girl? And at this point, I am like half crying, half screaming. I don't even remember. And I remember her stopping and just looking up at me and just going, didn't even acknowledge. I run up and down more, looking more, and she's still sitting there. Never gets up, never acknowledges me, never says anything. And I go up to her again. Ma'am, have you seen anything? Please tell me if you've seen anything. Please let me know. And again, she just gives me that look. Couldn't give a shit. At least that's how I interpreted it. At this point, I am just hysterically crying because I thought, she's gone. I've looked in the water. There's a ton of people on this beach. No one's been able to find her. It had been at least 15 minutes, if not more. And finally, I hear, we found her, we found her, we found her. Like, way off. And I see like this mob of people coming. It was probably not a mob. It was like 10 or 15. It was a good amount of people. And they were all like kind of jogging towards me. And there was this woman, and she was holding my daughter. I just remember seeing this little body, and I remember seeing this little blonde hair. And I literally fell onto the beach on my knees and was bawling, just completely bawling. Just the wave of relief that was over me. Apparently that little girl had ran down the beach, like far ass down the beach, and saw some game that people were playing. And after a while, people were like, whose kid is this? And so they had, thank you God, been walking up and down the beach themselves looking for this child's mother. And the funny thing is after all this is over, we go back to the blanket I had set up however long before. I'm still shaking and crying, and everybody goes back to their normal activities and so forth. And then my husband shows up. He's like, hey, I found a parking spot. It was like, I was like, it's not funny, but it's funny now looking back. I'm like, where are you? Like the most dramatic thing ever had just happened. But I wanted to tell this story for one main reason. I mean, it's embarrassing. I hate admitting I lost my daughter one time. It gives me a lot of empathy for people in parenting mistakes, because man, just in a split second, it's crazy what can happen in just a split second. And thank God, she's okay. But I remember the woman, God, I still see her face. It's wild. And it's been a long time since that happened. And I now can look back at it logically and think, maybe she was deaf. Maybe she was high. Maybe there's a lot of things that could have interfered with her getting up and helping me. And now looking back on it, I'm choosing to believe something like that was the case. So please know that I'm aware of that. And I'm working hard to reflect back on that situation and not be as angry as I was at that time. Because at that time, it felt like, whether it's the truth or not, that someone knew that I needed help and they didn't give a shit. That's how it felt. Fast forward a couple months ago, I was at a conference and we were talking about content and marketing and so forth. And, it's funny when you talk about content and marketing or whatever, it kind of starts off with the hacks and the tricks and the new advances in technology and, blah, 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 blah. But it always ends up kind of in the same place, which is a very human psychological place of worthiness and being seen, and a lot of the internal fears that come up naturally, of course, putting yourself out there on such a robotic, cold place as the internet is. We kind of gone that direction in this conversation, and there was this woman who was a helper healer. She had a strong passion. I can't remember exactly what it was, but around some kind of healing modality. She had been studying some kind of healing for a really long time, and I think had a personal story with it and so forth. And she just said that, I want to share this message more with people, but I'm so afraid that if I share it in the wrong way or I accidentally say the wrong thing, I'll hurt people more than I will help them. So she was keeping herself back from putting out whatever because of this death fear that if she made a mistake, she would cause more harm than good. And I was reflecting on what she said, and I was remembering the woman at the beach and how desperate I needed her help. And I was thinking about how even if she looked around for my daughter imperfectly or not thoroughly, it would have meant the world to me that she freaking tried. I wasn't looking for perfection. I wasn't looking for her to even be the one who helped find her. I was just looking for people to help me and to be in the ring with me and to walk alongside me. and to care. Now, this is dramatic AF because you aren't thinking, Heather, there's a big difference between somebody's life and putting yourself, your work out into the world. Maybe. Because I don't know about you. I have had internal shifts inside of me because people have chosen to put out movies or books or podcasts, and their art, their work has shifted something inside of me and healed places inside of me and helped me and helped save me in a lot of ways. And so it's wild to me, as dramatic as it is, that there's so many good people out there with messages that, if you really press, they believe can help change somebody's life. But every single day we choose not to give it because of this crazy fear that maybe it's not as needed as we think, or that it needs to be in this perfect form that's completely impossible. Or even like this woman at the conference thought that if she did it, it would potentially cause more harm than good. When at the end of the day, we just need people to show up. And isn't it wild to think, that quote that says all that evil needs, or something about all that needs to be done for evil to prevail is for good men to do nothing. And we're literally living that out day to day. And it doesn't even have to be serious. I remember BJ Novak. I met him several years ago. He is one of the writers in The Office. He played the temp. And he said in this talk that I went to that his life goal was just to make someone's favorite something. I love that line. I just want to make somebody's favorite something. So his work isn't necessarily deep and profound and crazy. The Office, you could argue, is just a silly show, but how many people's lives has it touched? How many folks needed to have a relief from their day, to laugh, to enjoy their family, to have less stress? You know what I mean? Like, even stuff like that, even comedy, even this little thing of yours, we judge it so harshly. Like our previous guest, Will Reynolds, said, your art literally can be, well, let me just put that clip right here.
For social media, it's just like, it's disposable Kleenex. And when you walk through this exercise, that like, it actually does have the potential to impact the world and impact their world. And that really isn't like, it isn't BS. It really is real. It really is real because you experienced it, because you just went through the process yourself with the last thing you encountered. Right. And that led you to feeling more expanded. And that led you to experiencing what life is all about. And maybe that led you to treat people in a certain way. Right. So you have had the experience. You can't deny it. So how can that not be what you provide when you get perceived and when you allow yourself to go in front of them, to go in front and be the one who says, I'll let you look at me. I will let you look at me because I know the medicine that I will provide. And so I'm willing to be perceived. I will let you look at me. And that's actually another great claim statement. I will let you look at me, because that's kind of the biggest thing that we get hung up on.
So good.
Like, we're the one, but what we've decided, we want to be the ones who carry the torch. And we're like, I have a message, like, listen. If that's so, you have to be willing to be seen.
I was recently at a school talking to a bunch of faith-based creators. And one of their biggest fears was putting out their work and not honoring God through it, or doing it the wrong way, or being selfish. And again, I emphasize to them, it's not that you're not going to make a mistake or have to check your ego or sometimes do things for the wrong intentions. And I hear this mentality a lot from a lot of faith-based helper type people, where it's almost this false humility game that we try to play of, I don't want to be put in the spotlight, and I don't want to be selfish or whatever. And it ends up having the opposite effect, because you have a gift and you have something that was placed inside of you to use, and you don't give it. And so we mask our own fear and act like it's holiness or humility. And now this is freaking harsh, but I used to be like that. I still fight that. And this like, oh, well, I don't want to be too whatever, because again, just trying to be humble. But really, it's one of the most selfish things that you can do. Check out this clip from previous guest Gabrielle Reyes.
I think the people who are teaching about, laying down your life and be selfless and whatnot, I'm gonna be real with you. I think it's their own selfishness that is twisting it to try to focus that selflessness onto them.
Just like I didn't need something drastic when that happened with my daughter. I just needed people to show up and stand with me, right? So, dramatic, but true. If you're watching on YouTube, please comment down below. Let me know what you think about this topic. I'm going to have to calm down after it because I've got my heart rate up and sweating a little bit. Love you guys in your corner. See you soon. Jesus.